Chapter 1. On our third wedding anniversary, Miranda kissed her assistant, Philip, in front of everyone at the company's annual meeting. The applause from the audience was thunderous, and the host joked, "The marketing manager has found true love." I sat in the crowd, holding a champagne glass, smiling, and clapping. When Miranda saw me, her face instantly turned pale, and she hurriedly pushed Philip away. If it were before, I would have rushed onto the stage to tear apart her facade, letting all of our colleagues have a laugh. But this time, my heart was as calm as still water. After the meeting, Miranda chased me to the parking lot, flustered, and explained, "Henry, listen to me. I had too much to drink just now. I started the car. Get in. We'll talk at home." She froze for a moment and carefully sat in the passenger seat. We didn't speak the entire way. At home, I went to the kitchen to warm up some milk. Miranda stood at the door, hesitating. "Don't you want to ask me about it?" Her voice was tentative. I calmly turned around. "Ask about what?" "About what happened on stage." "Oh," I said flatly. "Congratulations to both of you." Miranda's face changed repeatedly, and finally, biting her lip, she said, "Henry, I was just confused for a moment." "Philip, what happened to him?" "He said he was going to quit, and I couldn't bear it." I put the cup down and turned to look at her. "So, you're trying to keep him this way?" "No." She quickly denied it. "We didn't have anything." I nodded. "Good. Nothing's going on." I then took the milk and went to the study. Behind me, I heard Miranda sobbing, but I ignored it. In the past, I couldn't stand to see her cry. Every time her eyes reddened, my heart ached terribly, and I wished I could bring the whole world to her feet. But now, her tears were nothing more than a crocodile's performance to me. That night, Miranda tiptoed into the study. "Honey, I was wrong. Please forgive me." She kneeled beside my chair, tears falling steadily. This used to work on me. I'd always soften and then hug her, telling her it was okay. But this time, I just glanced at her and continued with my paperwork. "Miranda, get up. The floor is cold." A glimmer of hope flashed in her eyes. "Does that mean you forgive me?" "No," I said without looking up. "Just reminding you to take care of your health." She froze there, not moving for a long time. After signing the last contract, I stood up and walked toward the bedroom. As I passed by her, I paused. "By the way, starting tomorrow, you'll sleep in the guest room." "Why?" She panicked. "I have a cleanliness obsession." These words landed like a slap on her face. Miranda's face immediately turned bright red, but I had already entered the bedroom and shut the door. Through the door, I heard her crying louder and louder. In the past, I would have felt sorry and opened the door to comfort her. Now, it just felt noisy. I put on my headphones and continued working. Chapter 2. The next day, when I arrived at the company, Miranda was already waiting at my office door. She was wearing delicate makeup and the dress I had once complimented her on, holding breakfast in her hands. "Honey, I bought you milk and bread." I took the breakfast, said thank you, and then threw it straight into the trash. "Henry," she couldn't help but raise her voice. I glanced at her. "Mind the occasion, Manager Miranda." Her face alternated between pale and flushed, and she eventually gritted her teeth and returned to her office. During the morning meeting, I sat in the main seat, while Miranda and Philip sat across from me. Philip was wearing a new suit today, and his hair was neatly styled. He looked young and handsome. From time to time, he stole glances at Miranda, his eyes full of admiration. Miranda, on the other hand, kept staring at me, trying to find some sign of concern on my face. Unfortunately, I remained expressionless throughout. Halfway through the meeting, Philip's phone rang. It was Pikachu's ringtone. He blushed, hung up, and muttered, "Sorry," I calmly said. "Assistant Philip, please keep your phone on silent during the meeting." "Yes, President Koo," Miranda chimed in. "He's only been with us for a short time and doesn't fully understand the rules." I looked at her. "Manager Miranda, as his direct supervisor, you should train him better in professional etiquette." "Yes, I will." After the meeting, I kept Miranda behind. "I don't want to hear any rumors about you and Philip in the company again." A trace of panic flashed in her eyes. "Henry, I really didn't." "Whether you did or not is not important," I interrupted her. "What matters is that it doesn't affect the company's reputation." "Do you still care about me?" she asked tentatively. I was silent for a few seconds, then replied, "Miranda, we are both a married couple and colleagues. Please know your place." With that, I left the meeting room. In the afternoon, Mason came to find me at the company. "What's wrong? You look so upset," he asked with concern. I briefly told him about what happened last night. After listening, Mason slammed his hand on the table. "Damn, that bitch Miranda. Calm down." I poured him a cup of tea. "It's already over." "Over? And you're just letting it go like that? What else can I do?" I countered. Mason stared at me and didn't speak for a long time. "Henry, you've changed." "Yeah, I've changed," I admitted. "The old you would have given up everything for Miranda. Now I'm more rational." Mason sighed. Good. That woman isn't worth it. Just then, the secretary knocked on the door and came in. President Koo, Manager Miranda would like to see you. Let her in. When Miranda entered and saw Mason was there, her face became a bit awkward. Mason is here too. Mason had a cold expression and didn't respond. Henry, I have some work to report, Miranda said. Go ahead. Could Mason leave for a moment? I glanced at Mason, who thoughtfully stood up. I'll leave now. We'll talk another time. Once Mason left, Miranda immediately changed her demeanor, rushing up to me. Honey, do you still love me? I pushed her away. Manager Miranda, please mind your behavior. Henry, she panicked. We can say whatever we want at home, but you can't treat me like this at the company. Why not? Because I'm your wife. I nodded. Yes, you are my wife. So when you kissed another man in front of the whole company last night, did you ever consider how I would feel? She was left speechless. Miranda, I stood up. Since you've chosen to have an affair at the company, you must bear the consequences. What consequences? Starting tomorrow, Philip will be transferred to another department. No, she hurriedly stopped me. He's my assistant, and he's very capable. That's even better. A capable employee should be given a better platform. Miranda's face turned pale. Henry, you can't do this. I'm the vice president. This is my decision. With that, I grabbed my coat and prepared to leave. Where are you going? She asked. On a business trip. For a week. In reality, I didn't have any business trip plans. I just didn't want to see her anymore. Chapter 3. I stayed at the hotel for 3 days, receiving messages and calls from Miranda every day, from apologies at the beginning, to threats later, and finally to pleas. I didn't respond to any of them. On the 4th day, Mason came to the hotel to see me. Hiding like this isn't a solution. I'm not hiding. Then go home. I shook my head. I don't want to go back. Why? Just the sight of her disgusts me. Mason paused for a moment, then said, Henry, why don't you get a divorce? Divorce? I looked at the word for the first time seriously. Yes, this kind of woman isn't worth you wasting your time on. I fell into deep thought. Divorce, that thought had actually taken root in my heart a long time ago. From the moment I discovered Miranda and Philip's first flirtatious message, I knew this marriage was already over. I'll think about it. That evening, Miranda sent me a long text message. Honey, I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Philip has already been transferred, and I will never see him again. Will you come back? I'm so scared without you at home. I read it, deleted it, and then blocked her number. On the 5th day, the company secretary called. President Koo, Manager Miranda has been crying in your office all day, and now she has fainted. Should we take her to the hospital? Take her, I replied calmly. Do you want to come and check on her? No, I'm out of town. After hanging up, I continued reading the financial report in my hands. Miranda's life or death had nothing to do with me. On the 6th day, I returned to the company. The secretary reported, President Koo, Manager Miranda took sick leave today and didn't come to work. Got it. I handled my work as usual, as if nothing had happened. In the afternoon, the HR manager came to find me. President Koo, there's something I need to report. Go ahead. Philip has submitted his resignation. I looked at the resignation letter, which read, personal reasons, unable to continue working at the company. Approve it. And the replacement for his position, public recruitment. After the HR manager left, I received a call from an unknown number. Is this President Koo? This is Philip. What's the matter? I want to talk to you about Miranda. I almost laughed out loud. What's there to talk about? President Koo, Miranda really loves you. Yesterday, she nearly died for you. Oh, I responded calmly. So what? Don't you care? Why should I care? Philip was at a loss for words and didn't speak for a while. Mr. Philip, I continued. You're no longer an employee of our company, so please stop involving yourself in our marital matters. But, I hung up the phone. Young people are always like this, thinking they're the male lead of a romance drama. That evening, when I got home, Miranda was busy in the kitchen. Seeing me, she ran over in surprise. Honey, you're back. I changed my shoes and asked, what are you cooking? Sweet and sour ribs, and the tomato egg drop soup you love. She carefully observed my expression. You're not angry anymore. Not angry. Really? A glimmer of hope flashed in her eyes. Really? I nodded. Miranda, let's talk. She immediately turned off the stove and nervously sat across from me. Henry, what do you want to say? I took out a document from my briefcase and placed it in front of her. The divorce agreement. Chapter 4. Miranda stared at the document on the table, her face turning deathly pale. Henry, you're joking, right? I'm not joking, I said calmly. I've thought it through. Why? Her voice began to tremble. Is it just because of that incident at the annual meeting? I told you I was drunk. It's not just that. I pulled out my phone and opened a folder. Here are all the chat records between you and Philip, starting from 6 months ago. Her face completely drained of color. You snooped through my phone. I didn't snoop. You just forgot to log out of Cloud Sync. Miranda, trembling, reached out to grab my phone, but I easily dodged her. These chat records are enough to prove your relationship, I continued. Late-night chats, exchanging photos, and those cheesy nicknames. Henry, let me explain. No need to explain, I interrupted her. I don't care when it started. I just want this marriage to end. Suddenly, Miranda knelt in front of me. Honey, I was wrong. I really was wrong. Get up. I won't get up. She clung tightly to my leg. Henry, I can't live without you. I'll die without you. I looked down at her, but there was no stir in my heart. In the past, I couldn't bear to see her in such a humble position. As long as she showed the slightest weakness, I'd feel an overwhelming sense of sympathy. But now, I just felt like it was all fake. Miranda, you won't die, I said. You have Philip. I have nothing with Philip. She quickly denied it. We're just colleagues. I took out my phone and showed her a photo. It was a picture of them hugging outside a hotel, dated a month ago. Is this just a colleague relationship? When Miranda saw the photo, she was completely overwhelmed with despair. Henry, she released my leg and collapsed onto the floor. When did you start doubting me? The first time I saw you send him, I miss you, in the middle of the night. Then why didn't you question me? Would it have mattered? I retorted. Would you have admitted to it? She fell silent. Miranda, I'll give you 3 days to think about it. After 3 days, whether you sign or not, I'll file for divorce. With that, I grabbed my coat and prepared to leave. Where are you going? She hurriedly asked. The hotel. Henry coo. She tried to get up to chase after me but collapsed back down due to weak legs. You can't treat me like this. Why can't I? Because I love you. I stopped, turned around, and looked at her. Love me? Yes, I love you. Then why did you cheat? I was just confused for a moment. I shook my head. Miranda, if you love someone, you wouldn't cheat. You just couldn't bear to lose me as your backup. No, she cried out, heart-wrenchingly. Henry, I really love you. If you really loved me, I said coldly, then sign the divorce papers, and stop wasting each other's time. With that, I left without looking back. Behind me, I could hear Miranda's cries, but I didn't listen. That night at the hotel, I slept particularly soundly. The house without Miranda was quiet, like heaven. Chapter 5. Early the next morning, I received a call from Mason. Henry, Miranda came to my company and caused a scene. What kind of scene? She said you want a divorce and asked me to try and talk you out of it. I rubbed my temples. What did you say? I said I support your decision. Then she started cursing at me, saying I was trying to drive a wedge between your marriage. Sorry for causing you trouble. It's fine, Mason said. But Henry, have you really thought this through? I've thought it through. Then stick to your decision and don't soften. After hanging up, I finished getting ready and was about to head to the company. Just as I stepped out of the hotel, I saw Miranda sitting in the lobby. She clearly hadn't slept all night. Her eyes were red and swollen, and her hair was a mess. The moment she saw me, she immediately stood up. Henry, I pretended not to see her and walked straight out of the hotel. She chased after me, calling, Henry, wait for me. I got into the car, and she started banging on the window. Henry, open the door. I started the car and slowly drove off. Through the rearview mirror, I saw her stumble a few steps before finally stopping. She squatted on the side of the road and cried uncontrollably. When I arrived at the company, the secretary informed me, President Koo, Manager Miranda has taken sick leave. Got it. During the morning meeting, the head of the marketing department presented in place of Miranda. Halfway through the meeting, Miranda suddenly burst into the room. She was wearing the same clothes as yesterday, her hair disheveled, and her face as pale as paper. President Koo, she walked up to me. I have important work to report. The meeting room fell silent, and everyone watched the spectacle unfold. Manager Miranda, you're on sick leave. You shouldn't be here, I said calmly. I'm not sick. She raised her voice. I want to work. Manager Miranda, please calm down. I am calm. Suddenly, she dropped to her knees. President Koo, please don't abandon me. The sound of gasps filled the room. I stared at her expressionlessly. Manager Miranda, this is a company. Please be mindful of the occasion. I don't care about the occasion, she cried. Henry, I can't live without you. I pressed the intercom. Security, please come upstairs. Henry, she panicked. You can't do this to me. Security arrived quickly, and I gestured to them. Please escort Manager Miranda out. Yes, President Koo. The security guards tried to help Miranda, but she struggled desperately. Don't touch me, Henry Koo. You can't do this. In the end, she was escorted out of the meeting room by security. I continued hosting the meeting as if nothing had happened, but I could feel everyone secretly watching me. After the meeting, the vice president approached me. Henry, this can't go on. I know. The company's image is very important. I'll handle it. In the afternoon, the HR department informed me. President Koo, Manager Miranda has been suspended by the board of directors. Reason, she has affected the company's image. I nodded without saying anything. In fact, this outcome was expected. Miranda's actions today had seriously violated company policies. That evening, I was in my hotel room handling documents when the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, it was Philip. President Koo, may I come in to talk? I stepped aside. Please come in. He sat down and got straight to the point. President Koo, I want to talk to you about Miranda. Still about her? Yes, he nodded. Miranda tried to commit suicide by cutting her wrists today. The pen in my hand stopped. What? Luckily, the neighbors found her in time. She's now in the hospital, undergoing emergency treatment. I was silent for a few seconds, then asked, why are you telling me this? Because she kept calling your name. Oh. Philip was stunned by my indifference. President Koo, aren't you the least bit worried? Why should I be worried? She's your wife. Not for much longer. Philip angrily stood up. President Koo, how can you be so cold-hearted? I looked up at him. Mr. Philip, you should understand better than I do why she tried to kill herself. What do you mean? If she hadn't cheated, we wouldn't have ended up like this. Philip was speechless. And, I continued, the reason she tried to kill herself is that she lost me as her backup. Not because she lost love. You're too heartless. Heartless? I laughed. Mr. Philip, when she was dating you behind my back, did she ever consider how I'd feel? Philip lowered his head, too afraid to look at me. Now that she's in despair, you come to accuse me of being heartless. How laughable. Philip stood up and said angrily, President Koo, you'll regret this. I won't, I answered firmly. He slammed the door on his way out. I continued to handle the documents, my mood unchanged. Miranda's life or death truly had nothing to do with me. Chapter 6. The next day, I went to work as usual. As soon as I arrived at the office, the secretary informed me, President Koo, the hospital called. Manager Miranda would like to see you. Tell them I'm very busy. But, no buts. At noon, Mason came to meet me for lunch. I heard Miranda tried to commit suicide. Yes. Aren't you going to see her? No. Mason looked at me and sighed. Henry, you've really changed. For the better or the worse, you've become more rational. As we were eating, my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. Is this President Koo? This is Miranda's mother. I paused for a moment. Hello, Auntie. Henry, Miranda is in the hospital. Could you come see her? Sorry, I'm working. Is work more important than your daughter? Her tone was a bit reproachful. Auntie, Miranda isn't my daughter. She's my wife. Or rather, my ex-wife. Ex-wife? You're not divorced yet. We'll be divorced soon. Henry, she raised her voice. Miranda nearly died for you. And you don't feel a bit sorry? I don't feel sorry, I answered directly. Miranda's mother was stunned into silence by my indifference. Auntie, I continued, if you really care about Miranda, you should advise her to sign the divorce papers so we can all move on. Henry, how can you say that? How can I say what? Miranda loves you so much. Loves me. I interrupted her. Auntie, do you know about Miranda's affair? Miranda's mother fell silent. Looks like you do know. I continued. Since you're aware, don't try to use love to morally blackmail me. But, Auntie, there's no but. Your daughter made a mistake, and she needs to face the consequences. With that, I hung up the phone. Mason looked at me in shock. Henry, you didn't even give Miranda's mom any face. Why should I give her face? She's still your mother-in-law. Not for long. Mason shook his head. I don't even recognize you anymore. So, what do you think of me now? You're fine. He thought for a moment. At least you won't cry for a woman anymore. In the afternoon, while I was in a meeting, the secretary knocked and came in. President Koo, a lawyer is here to see you. Let her in. The person who came in was a young female lawyer, very beautiful and with a great presence. Hello, President Koo. My name is Tiffany, and I'm Miranda's attorney. Please, have a seat. She sat down and took out a document from her bag. This is my client's statement. I took it and glanced over it. She doesn't agree to the divorce. Correct. She hopes to salvage the marriage. That's impossible. Tiffany looked at me. President Koo, are you really not willing to give her another chance? Another chance? I asked. After betrayal, she still gets a chance. Everyone makes mistakes. Mistakes have consequences. I interrupted her. Lawyer Sue, are you here to mediate or to lecture me on morals? She paused for a moment. I apologize. That was inappropriate of me. If Miranda truly doesn't want to agree to a divorce, then we'll go through legal procedures, I said. I have enough evidence to prove her wrongdoing. What evidence? I pulled out my phone and showed her the chat records. Tiffany Sue looked at a few of them, and her expression changed. Are these real? Absolutely. She closed the phone and sat in silence for a while. President Koo, I think I need to have another discussion with my client. As you wish. She stood to leave, but suddenly turned back at the door. President Koo, I personally believe your decision is the right one. I was somewhat surprised. Why do you say that? Betrayal is betrayal. There are no excuses. With that, she left. That lawyer was quite interesting. That night, as I was watching TV in my hotel room, a news report suddenly appeared. A market department manager from a certain group attempted suicide due to an emotional dispute and is currently receiving treatment in the hospital. Although they didn't name names, I knew it was about Miranda. It seemed like the news had already spread. I turned off the TV and got ready for bed. Tomorrow, it would be a new day. Chapter 7. On the third morning, I received a call from Tiffany. President Koo, Miranda has agreed to the divorce settlement. Good. But she has one condition. What condition? She hopes you can come to the hospital to see her one last time. I thought for a moment. Okay, when? Can you come this afternoon? I can. In the afternoon, I arrived at the hospital. Miranda was lying in the hospital bed, her wrist bandaged, her face as pale as paper. When she saw me, a glimmer of surprise flashed in her eyes. Henry, you came. I sat by the bed. What do you want to say? She choked up. Henry, I really know I was wrong. I know. Then can you forgive me? No. The light in her eyes instantly dimmed. Why? Because forgiving you has no meaning for me. What do you mean? Miranda, you cheated not because I was bad, but because that's who you are. I said calmly. Even if I forgave you, you'd do it again. I won't. She hurriedly denied it. I swear. I'll never do it again. Swears are worthless. She cried. Henry, why are you being so heartless? I'm not heartless. I'm awake. Is our 3 years of relationship just gone like that? 3 years? I sneered. Miranda, was there ever a day in those 3 years when you truly cared about me? She froze. From the beginning. You were with me because I had money. Then you married me to secure your position in the company. No. Then what about Philip? I asked. Why did you like him? She remained silent. Because he's young and handsome and can feed your vanity. I answered for her. Miranda, you've never truly loved me. You only loved what I could give you. Henry, now that I'm leaving you, you're panicking. So you use suicide to threaten me. I continued. But sorry, I'm not buying it. Miranda cried uncontrollably. Henry, please, don't leave me. Why shouldn't I leave you? Because I can't live without you. Then why didn't you think of that when you cheated? She sobbed, unable to speak. I stood up. Miranda, the divorce agreement has already been brought by my lawyer. Please sign it. I won't sign. Then we'll see each other in court. I turned to leave, but she suddenly called out to me. Henry, is there anything else? If I sign, will you come to see me occasionally? I shook my head. No. Then, will you miss me? No. She fell completely into despair, collapsing back onto the bed. I walked out of the room, and Tiffany was waiting at the door. President Koo, you're so resolute. She's pitiful. Pitiful. I stopped. Lawyer Sue, do you think I'm pitiful or is she pitiful? I was betrayed, deceived, and hurt, and now I should sympathize with the person who hurt me. Tiffany was speechless. Lawyer Sue, if you were in my shoes, what would you do? I would also choose to divorce. Exactly. That evening, Tiffany called. President Koo, Miranda has signed. Good. When should we proceed with the divorce formalities? The sooner, the better. How about tomorrow morning? That's fine. After hanging up, I let out a long breath. Finally, it's about to end. This painful marriage is finally coming to an end. Chapter 8. The next morning, Miranda and I went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to finalize our divorce. She was sitting in a wheelchair, her face pale, her eyes hollow. Throughout the entire process, she didn't say a word. When the staff handed us the divorce certificate, she suddenly started crying. Henry, she choked up. Is it really over? It's over. I put the divorce certificate away. Miranda, you're free now. I don't want to be free, but I do. With that, I walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau without looking back. The sun was shining outside, and I took a deep breath. The feeling of freedom was so good. Tiffany drove me back to the company. President Koo, how are you feeling now? She asked. Good. Aren't you sad at all? Why should I be sad? After all, it's been 3 years of a relationship. Lawyer Sue, I looked at her. Do you think one-sided love counts as love? She thought for a moment. No, it doesn't. Exactly. When we arrived at the building downstairs, before I got out of the car, I said to her, Lawyer Sue, thank you for your help. You're welcome. She smiled. President Koo, I actually admire you. Why? Not everyone can let go so decisively. That's because it wasn't worth it. She nodded. President Koo, if, and I mean if, you'd be willing, could we be friends? I was a bit surprised. Of course. Can I have your contact details? Sure. We exchanged phone numbers. President Koo, she said shyly, actually, I think you're a really good person. Thank you. A man like you will definitely find a better woman. I smiled. Thank you for the good wishes. After seeing Tiffany off, I returned to my office. The secretary told me, President Koo, the chairman wants to see you. I went to the chairman's office. Henry, sit. The chairman gestured for me to sit. I heard you got a divorce. Yes. You handled Miranda's situation well. Thank you, Chairman. The company is not a charity. It cannot tolerate people who corrupt its atmosphere. I understand. Now that you're single, You can focus more on your work, the chairman smiled. I'm planning to transfer you to the headquarters. Headquarters? I was surprised. Yes, as vice president. It was an unexpected surprise. Thank you for your trust, Chairman. You've earned it. The chairman patted my shoulder. Young man, your future is limitless. After leaving the chairman's office, I was in an exceptionally good mood. The divorce hadn't affected my career. In fact, it had opened up an even better opportunity for me. That evening, Mason invited me to dinner to celebrate. Henry, congratulations on your new life. He raised his glass. Thank you. How are you feeling now? I've never felt so light. That's the way it should be. Mason took a sip of his drink. Henry, I've always wanted to tell you, Miranda never deserved you. Why do you say that? She's too selfish. She only wanted what you could give her, but she never gave her heart. It doesn't matter anymore. Right. It's all in the past. Mason suddenly smiled mysteriously. Henry, I want to introduce you to someone. Who? A really nice girl. My classmate's sister. Works at a bank. No need. I don't want to date for now. Why? I want to enjoy the freedom of being single. That's fine. You're still young. There's no rush. As we were talking, my phone rang. It was Tiffany calling. President Koo. Sorry to bother you. It's fine. What's up? I have a few legal questions I'd like to ask you. I'm not an expert in law. It's about a business contract, and I'm sure you know more than I do. Well, how about we find a time to discuss it in detail? That works. When would be convenient for you? How about tomorrow night? Okay, let's pick a place. Sounds good. After hanging up, Mason smiled and said, Henry, that didn't take long. A woman already called you. It's not what you think. She's a lawyer, and we have business to discuss. A lawyer? Mason's eyes lit up. Is she the one who helped you with the divorce? Yes. Is she pretty? She's okay. Henry, I think this is a good opportunity. What opportunity? An opportunity to pursue her. Mason said seriously. You just got divorced, and you need a fresh start. Stop talking nonsense. She's here for business. Business that could turn into something more. I shook my head and didn't respond to his words. But honestly, Tiffany did leave a good impression on me. She was professional, rational, and principled, completely different from Miranda. Maybe this truly was a new beginning. Chapter 9. The next evening, I met Tiffany at a quiet cafe. She was wearing a white shirt and a black skirt, looking intellectual and elegant. President Koo, thank you for taking the time to meet with me. It's my pleasure. I sat down and asked, what legal issues do you need my help with? Well, she seemed a little embarrassed. Actually, it's not a legal issue. Then what is it? I'd like to treat you to a meal, to thank you for trusting me with your divorce case. I was momentarily taken aback, then smiled. So that's it. You don't mind, do you? Of course not. We talked about a lot of things, from work to life, from interests to ideals. Tiffany was a very interesting person, humorous and insightful. President Koo, she suddenly asked, do you still miss Miranda? No, I answered without hesitation. Not even a little, not at all. Why? Because she's not worth it. Tiffany nodded. President Koo, I think you're a very rational person. Rationality is sometimes forced. What do you mean? If you keep being emotional, the only one who gets hurt is yourself. She nodded thoughtfully. Lawyer Sue. I shifted the topic. Why did you choose to become a lawyer? Because I like the sense of fairness and justice. Do you think my divorce with Miranda was fair? Very fair, she said firmly. The person who made the mistake should bear the consequences. What would you do if your boyfriend betrayed you one day? I'd leave him. She answered without a second thought. Betrayal is betrayal. There are no excuses. I looked at her with admiration. Our views are very similar. Yes, she smiled. President Koo, actually, I think we're a good match. A good match for what? To be friends. She blushed a little. I smiled. Of course, I think we can be friends too. By the time we left the cafe, it was already quite late. I drove her home, and when we were downstairs at her place, she suddenly said, President Koo, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a personal question. Go ahead. Do you have feelings for me? I was a bit surprised by her directness, but I answered honestly, yes. A glimmer of joy flashed in her eyes. Then, can we try dating? Are you sure? I looked at her seriously. I just got divorced. I might need some time. I'm not in a hurry. She said, I can wait. Why? Because I think you're worth it. At that moment, I suddenly felt a long-lost sense of warmth. Tiffany, I took her hand. Thank you. Thank me for what? Thank you for making me believe that there are still sincere people in this world. She smiled. A sweet smile. President Koo, shall we start as friends? Okay. That night, I slept particularly well. In my dreams, there were no cries from Miranda, no pain from betrayal, only Tiffany's warm smile. The next morning, I woke up to find a text message from Tiffany. Good morning, President Koo, wishing you a successful day at work. Such a simple message, but it made me feel especially good. I replied, good morning, Lawyer Sue. From that day on, we exchanged texts every day and occasionally had meals together. Tiffany knew how to maintain boundaries, never too intimate, never pressuring me to make any promises. She was like a spring breeze, gently blowing into my life, slowly healing my heart. 3 months later, we officially became a couple. Half a year later, I proposed to her. Tiffany cried and said yes, and at that moment, I knew I had found the person who truly belonged to me. In comparison, Miranda was just a mistake in my life's journey. Tiffany, however, was my future. Our wedding was very simple, just close friends. At the wedding, Mason said, "Henry, you finally found someone who truly loves you." Yes, I had found her. Tiffany would never betray me, never hurt me, never treat me as a backup. She loved me for who I am, not for what I could give her. This is what true love looks like. Chapter 10. 1 year after we got married, we had our own child. When Tiffany was pregnant, I cooked for her every day, went for walks with her, and listened to her talk about work. The feeling of being needed and cherished was something I had never experienced with Miranda. "Hubby," Tiffany suddenly asked me one day, "do you ever think about Miranda?" "No," I answered honestly. "She's already in the past for me." "Not even a little bit." "Not at all." I gently touched her belly. "All my attention now is on you and the baby." Tiffany smiled contentedly. After the baby was born, I truly experienced what the warmth of home meant. Every day after work, when I came home and saw Tiffany's gentle smile and the baby's cute face, I felt like the happiest person in the world. One day, Mason came over to visit. "Henry, you really look happy now." "Yes, I am very happy. Do you remember how you cried your eyes out over Miranda 2 years ago?" "I do." I chuckled. "I was really foolish back then." "It wasn't foolish. It was just being too kind," Mason said. "You treated Miranda like a treasure, but she treated you like a fool. Let the past stay in the past." I looked at Tiffany, who was busy in the kitchen. "I just want to cherish the happiness I have now." "Yes, cherishing is the most important thing." That night, Tiffany asked me, "Hubby, what if one day Miranda wants to come back to you? What would you do?" "I wouldn't meet her." I answered without hesitation. "Someone like her no longer deserves to be in my life. Won't you feel soft-hearted?" "No." I hugged her. "Tiffany, now I have you and the baby. Why would I bother with the past? I just wanted to make sure." She pouted in my arms. "After all, you two had 3 years of feelings. That wasn't love. That was unrequited." I corrected her. "True love should be like ours." "Like ours?" she asked. "Mutual respect, mutual cherishing, mutual trust. I think we're really happy too." 5 years later, I became the CEO of the group, and Tiffany became a well-known lawyer. Our child was healthy and happy, and our relationship grew deeper with time. Sometimes, I think that if I hadn't gone through that painful marriage with Miranda, I might not appreciate the happiness I have now as much. So, in a way, I have to thank Miranda. I thank her for her betrayal, because it made me realize what true love is and who is worth cherishing. As for how Miranda is doing now, I don't know, and I don't care. What I know is that my life truly began the day I met Tiffany, and the Henry who once felt desperate because of Miranda is now long gone. The person I am now is someone completely new, someone who knows how to love and be loved, someone who is worthy of being cherished, someone who is truly happy.